Acquiring JJ Peterka would definitely help remedy the Nashville Predators scoring woes, but today we're going to tell you why the right move at the wrong time is still the wrong move.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We are, of course, your free daily Nashville Predators podcast. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off our Wednesday episode shouting out our Locked On Predators insiders and our everydayers who tune in to talk Nashville Predators hockey with us. I am Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer and co-host with Penalty Box Radio, and friends, I have a Thelma to my Louise.
You do. I am Emma Lingan, and I'm the Predators site editor and reporter for the Hockey News.
Want to give an extra special shout out to our newest Locked On Predator insider. That is Baby Boy Woodley, our channel manager here at Locked On. He and his wife gave birth to their baby boy just yesterday. So just want to give a shout out to Baby Boy Woodley. Thanks for joining our community. We love you're here. It's going to feel like 84 years, but fortunately, you won't remember what unfolds. So let's hear it for Baby Boy Woodley and the saving grace of not having a long-term memory yet.
It's a good thing to not have a memory in Predators land right now. So we welcome you. Maybe
we welcome you.
We in 84 years we might be, another 84 years and we might be gone. So Baby Boy Woodley might be taking over for us here.
That's true. That's true. Keep your eye out for our replacement. For sure. Yeah. Lots to talk about. While it is still Emma and I holding down the fort, it is no secret, friends, that the Nashville Predators roster issues need to be addressed in the offseason and on both sides of the ice. Barry Trotz has, of course, made it clear that defense is a priority. We're going to talk about that on an upcoming episode. But friends, the Predators have some scoring problems. Today, we're going to talk about how a young player like JJ Peterka of the Buffalo Sabres could get a fresh start here. We're going to tell you the pros, and also we're going to be frank with you about the cons of a move like that today. Before we dive into this discussion, though, we do want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. All right, Emma, if there is one name that is generating a lot of buzz in the offseason, JJ Peterka is the guy right now. Now, this could change a week from now, but right now, this is the name that is out there. Of course, he plays for the Buffalo Sabres. He was a second-round pick in 2020. Young sprout, 23 years old. Here is how the story is unfolding as of this episode. So basically, Buffalo's been clear they didn't necessarily want to move him. They've envisioned him as part of the core. And of course, who doesn't want to keep a young goal scorer? But our friend Elliot Friedman says that JJ Peterka might want out of Buffalo. And at first, of course, Buffalo not interested in making that move. But according to Elliot Friedman recently on 32 Thoughts podcast, he is saying that they are, quote, now listening on it. He thinks that's a recent development. It has been 84 years for the Nashville Predators, but friends, it's been 840 years if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan. Grounds in heaven, Buffalo Sabres fans. Like, they have not sniffed the playoffs but once in what probably feels like the last, 13 years, something like that, a long time. It's been a long, long time. So you get a player like this, you see a player like JJ Peterka starting to pop off. This is tough if you're Buffalo. This could be a really tough pill to swallow for Buffalo, Emma. When you look at, JJ Peterka, how do you see his style of play fitting in with, I don't know, say the Nashville Predators?
Well, I think before I even look at that, I just, you look at the situation in Buffalo, which is that Buffalo has a hard time attracting talent via free agency. So if they're going to turn things around for this franchise, it's going to have to be through drafting and developing, or trading with someone who doesn't have trade protection or is okay with coming to Buffalo. So, I think that if Peterka wants out, on one hand, they don't want someone who doesn't want to be there. At the same time, I think you could also, if you're Buffalo, remind him, hey man, you're part of the solution. But that being said, if there's a team out there, I believe I read that the Sabres would, like, if someone offer sheeted Peterka more than $7 million a year, that the Sabres would not match it. So I have a feeling that, an offer sheet might be less likely, just because, it's going to be hard. Teams are going to overpay for goal scoring. I get it. I don't think Nashville should be one of those teams right now. Because, fool us once, Barry Trotz. But I just think that, a trade maybe might be the more realistic way to go about it. The problem, though, is that Buffalo, again, they've done nothing but draft and develop this whole time. They want NHL ready players. They don't want more draft capital. I don't know that Nashville has anything that they would want. That would be worthy of, parting with Peterka. So that's just kind of how I see it right now. It's hard for me to even speculate about how he would fit in with Nashville, because I just don't know that Nashville is selling what Buffalo wants to be buying.
Right. And that, I think, is the part that is very tricky. You talk about offer sheeting him. An offer sheet would involve a first, second, and third round pick in 2026. Well, of course, Nashville has that. But do you want to spend that? Do you want to cash in your draft capital chips on this player? Great young player, lots of potential. Haven't probably seen his ceiling yet. So a lot there. But does Nashville want to do that? I have read that the New York Rangers are interested in offer sheeting him. And so this could turn into a whole thing for an offer sheet. Then, like you said, let's talk about trade. And I think people would go, send a Marchessault. He doesn't want to be here. Do you know where else Marchessault doesn't want to be? I'm just saying.
If you think he doesn't want to be in Nashville, I tell you where he doesn't want to be. Buffalo.
And no disrespect to Buffalo, but I'm guessing that they're not on his short list of, sure, I'll go there. Not
on anybody's short list. Yeah.
Bless. So, if anybody in the Nashville Predators locker room has talked to Ryan O'Reilly, I don't think anybody there is going to be like, yeah, I'll go to Buffalo. It's a tough sell. And look, let me, full disclosure, freaking love the city of Buffalo. Love the city. They have such a great fan base. They have a great NHL fan base. They are weary. Friends, the Sabres fans are even more weary than we are. And I know it's hard to wrap your mind around that. But, it's a tough sell, friends. And, Buffalo does need to do a job saying to Peterka, hey, you can be a part of the core. You can be a part of the core. But you're going to have to make that such an emphasis to convince him at this point. Coming up, we are going to talk about his game. What does Peterka bring that Nashville could use? We're going to dive into that coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by our great friends at FanDuel. Friends, the NBA Finals are in full swing. They have been amazing. Every night is delivering highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it is a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel is going to make it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you are new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. You can head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you are going to get $200 in bonus bets. Check out all the action at FanDuel.com. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Emma, we are talking about JJ Peterka. This is a hot name right now. He is kind of the buzzword in the NHL in the offseason. You know how the drama cauldrons stir in the offseason. Talking about the method of getting him here. Why would Nashville want him here? Well, friends, I'd just like to throw out a little tidbit that you may have forgotten in this offseason. Nashville was 31st in goals scored in the league. Only the San Jose Sharks scored fewer goals. I don't know if you remember that, but on a cellular level, Emma and I do. So you look at a young player like Peterka, and you think, this is intriguing. Like, we've got somebody who can score some goals. He has not hit his ceiling yet. The Nashville Predators want to get younger. Hello, 23-year-old kid that probably still gets carded everywhere you go. In theory, this is like, go get this player. So what do you like about him?
I like that he's young. I like that he's coming off a 68-point season. But I already am going into what I don't like, which is that because of that, he's going to cost a lot right now. He's going to be looking for a long-term contract. He's not going to be looking for that, Luke Evangelista bridge deal. And I think that if you're Nashville, you just have to be cognizant of that, it's going to cost you a lot for something that is not necessarily a sure thing. I'm not saying he's definitely not a sure thing, because look, if we thought anything was going to be a sure thing, it was going to be Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault. So I guess that's just me saying I don't know what I'm saying right now. Don't listen to me. It's been 84 years is a long time. But I think, no, I do think that he is the kind of goal scorer. Like he's sort of a big power forward, that the Predators could use. And like we said, when whichever day it was that we were talking about, like they haven't really had a really exciting young forward like this in a long time.
Yeah.
Like the last one was probably Filip Forsberg, and he's not young anymore. So it's just kind of like, well, beggars can't be choosers. So I do understand the appeal.
Yeah. Here's what I noticed going back and kind of watching some of his highlights, in prepping for this episode. And this is really painful. This is a painful observation to make, but this is just what I noticed. He scores the goals that Nashville got burned on last season. I was like, the kind where he just kind of slips down to the offside and then he just hits that puck into the net. Like it's those ones where, last season you're watching the Predators and you can see it unfolding in slow motion against them. That's the kind of goals he scores. And he can score from, kind of anywhere on the ice. He's got this really great release. There is a lot to like about him. He does, in a lot of ways, remind me a bit of Filip Forsberg, just the way that he scores goals, kind of his creativity and all of that kind of stuff. His shooting percentage last season, 15.6%. That's fabulous. Now, is that sustainable? His career average is 12.7%, which is nothing to sneeze at either. So, on paper, like you said, there's a lot to like about his game. But here is the problem with the offseason, especially with the Nashville Predators. If we learned anything, my friends, it is that the offseason is not a plug and play kind of situation. You can look back and see what Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault and Brady Shea did and go, put that on the Nashville Predators roster and cash it in. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Now, I think there were some dynamics that made this extra difficult for this particular last season. But you just have to know it's not a plug and play. Like, you cannot just go out and be like, you know what, we need a goal scorer. Here's a young goal scorer. Set aside the logistics of like offer sheet, trade. Hey, by the way, he doesn't play for free. How are you going to play him? You can't just drop a dude in and say he is going to replicate his 68 point season. He's not going to be, and just assume he's going to. We made that mistake last season, y'all.
Once.
Fool me once for 84 years. And then leave us with this. Here's the other thing that I have the heebie-jeebies about this offseason, Emma, when it comes to big moves for the Nashville Predators. And this is just straight paranoia, and I want you to know I own this. We don't know what's going to happen in the first quarter of the season. Will Andrew Burnett still be the coach? Like, I'm not 100% sure that we even know that. So it's very hard to say, here's a player that we're going to plug into the Nashville Predators and we can predict with some certainty what's going to happen. I think you can do that a little easier on the defensive end, but I think it's very tricky to know what we're going to get offensively from anyone. That's scary to me.
That is very scary. So it's hard. It's hard for me to look at anyone, much less a 23-year-old who doesn't have a proven track record yet, and be like, yes, that's the missing piece. It's just hard. Yeah. We were burned so bad after this year.
We're not okay. We're not okay.
We're still healing.
Yeah. I understand why in conversation it looks like the right move. I just think it's the wrong time. And the right move at the wrong time is the wrong move. Also, FYI, if Nashville is going to pay like $7-8 million, if they're going to overpay a young player, how about it be a center? I would take a Marco Rossi right now over a JJ Peterka right now.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be overpaying for a winger right now if you're Nashville.
Coming up, there is good news on the horizon. A couple of Nashville Predators are likely looking ahead to February of 2026 coming up. We're going to tell you why. All right, Emma, JJ Peterka, lovely guy. Sure, he's delightful. At the end of all this discussion, I personally vote no thank you. It's just not for me. Where do you land?
Yeah, I'm going to go no. Just no thank you. Because, again, I think right move, wrong time equals wrong move.
Yeah. We are not a JJ Peterka away from contention.
No.
And we are a number of pieces away if the Central Division continues the way it's continuing.
Yes.
So
we're 84 more years away, at least.
Yeah. And that's when Baby Boy Woodley will be taking over the podcast. Just so we're clear. That's when we gone. We gone. So changing the subject a little bit, a more positive happening coming up in the more distant future. Teams have begun announcing their preliminary rosters for the Olympics, the Milan Cortina Olympics in February 2026. And friends, the Nashville Predators will be represented. Juuse Saros is going to be playing, of course, for Team Finland. And then the captain, Roman Josi, has been named to the preliminary roster for Switzerland. So, Emma, surprised by any of this information at all? And if you look at these rosters, like, what's your initial impression of what we might see in February?
Not at all surprised by these. I would say the biggest storyline in terms of surprises for these, first 6 that were named for each of the countries actually has nothing to do with the Predators, but does have a little bit of a Central Division flair to it. The fact that now, to be fair, I'm not trying to stir the drama cauldron here, and I will point out that a lot of the countries did not name a goaltender in their first 6, but of note, Team USA did not name a goaltender in their first 6. Now, that could mean nothing. But I think that there's sort of this underlying assumption that if they were to name, say, Hart and Vezina trophy winner Connor Hellebuck as their first, in their first 6, that they would be committing to him as the guy in goal in the Olympics. Now, Connor Hellebuck is going to be on the roster, to be clear, for Team USA. He just wasn't one of the first 6. Now, there's nothing written that says that he needs to be the number 1 goaltender for him, and nothing saying that they can't change their minds. They've done it before, so I just think that it's more optics than anything. But part of me wonders, like, perhaps maybe there was a shadow of doubt after not only the Four Nations performance by Connor Hellebuck, but then the playoff performance by Connor Hellebuck that made them think, ooh, you know what? Maybe we give Jake Ottinger a little bit of a closer look. And Bill Guerin, the GM for Team USA, did say, yeah, we're going to let the 2 guys kind of just like play it out in the season, and then we'll decide. And it's like,
Yeah.
They're both going to be on the roster. Like, it's going to be Ottinger and Hellebuck. It's more just, I think that the consequences from Hellebuck's inability to show up in big moments over the last year, like, we are starting to see that a little bit now. So
Yes. I think that is such an interesting storyline. And like you said, not stirring the drama cauldron, but when you have Vesna and Hart winner Connor Hellebuck and a team like the Winnipeg Jets that is poised to go for it, and he struggled like he did, how long does that resonate? Whether it's with his team, and of course they're not benching Connor Hellebuck next season or anything like that, but like, how long does that linger around him? And how long does that linger for him? That's another thing. I think about that with Juuse Saros. I love that he was named right away, but it's also like last season for these Nashville Predators. How long is this funk gonna linger around them? And see, I think Hellebuck, that is such an interesting story. Here is what I love. Talking about the Central Division, here is what jumped off the page at me. You will not be able to sit on the Team Finland bench and spit and not hit a Dallas Star. You all, it is like Finland 2.0 there.
Finnish
It's just,
Mafia.
it is the Finnish Mafia. Like, good luck, Juuse Saros, because your mortal enemy will be your friend at the Olympics.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, are we going to let anybody else play, or is it just going to be the Dallas Stars? I mean, come on.
Yeah. It's
Crazy.
what? Rantanen, Hintz, Heiskanen, Lindell. Gosh, yeah. I'm sure Granlund, if he ends up re-signing in Dallas too, then he'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well, they're going to trade Jason Robertson so they can re-sign Granlund. I mean, that's a gimme. I mean, that's such obvious NHL good business.
Yes, of course. That slipped my mind. That's on me. No, that's the obvious choice here.
Yeah.
Jason
So it's
Robertson,
interesting.
Kyle Granlund.
Yeah. It's interesting to me to see these rosters come out. I do think you're right. It's interesting to see who is not on them of note. Filip Forsberg was not one of the first 6 named to the Swedish roster, which I think some people are like, say what? But just everybody hold on to your hockey pants. Just hold on to your hockey.
I will also say, first of all, it's only 6 guys. So, like, just because he's not on the first 6 doesn't mean he's not going to be on the team. he will be on the team. But again, of note, Filip Forsberg at the Four Nations, not that great. He
No,
did not look good. And so I'm like, I think that, of course, it doesn't mean like, again, like he's been blackballed by the, the association or anything like that. I think it's more of just like, okay, so maybe you don't get the special treatment anymore. Maybe we don't name you one of the first 6. So we're not going to make you one of the faces of our national team. You'll still be there, but just in the back for the team photos, maybe.
Which is so weird for Filip Forsberg. Like, that's weird.
I know.
I'm telling you, it's the funk that lingers. Now, going into next season, can Filip Forsberg hit the ground running and shake some of that off? Absolutely. Do we know for sure that's going to happen? We don't know anything, and we're educated. So that's where we are. Interesting to see the names floating around in free agency. Interesting to think about, hey, what would this player do for Nashville? Always got to remember where Nashville is at in their process and what we do, and especially what we still don't know about this team. So a lot is riding on next season, the start of the season. Of course, Emma and I are going to be there for all of that. And in the meantime, we've got the draft coming up. We've got development camp coming up. So make sure you stay tuned in here to the Locked On Predators podcast, because we have all of your off-season content here. Emma, before we log off for today, can you let everyone know where they can find you and your work?
Yes, you can find me on social media at Emma_Lingan, and you can find my work at the Hockey News.
You can find me on social media at AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work with Penalty Box Radio as well. Friends, that is going to do it for this Wednesday episode of the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We will be back tomorrow with an all-new episode. We'll see you then.